Samuel 6. Now the ark of the Lord was in the region of the Philistines for 7 months. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, What shall we do with the ark of the Lord? Reveal to us in what manner we should send it back to its place. And they said, If you send back the ark of the God of Israel, do not choose to release it empty. Instead, repay to him what you owe because of sin. And then you will be cured. And you will know why his hand did not withdraw from you. And they said, What is it that we ought to repay to him because of transgression? And they responded, In accord with the number of the provinces of the Philistines, you shall fashion 5 gold cysts and 5 gold mice. For the same plague has been upon all of you and your princes. And you shall fashion a likeness of your cysts and a likeness of the mice, which have destroyed the land. And so shall you give glory to the God of Israel, so that perhaps he may lift off his hand from you, and from your gods, and from your land. Why have you hardened your hearts, just as Egypt and Pharaoh hardened their hearts? After he was struck, did he not then release them, and they went away? Now therefore, fashion and take a new cart, with 2 cows that have given birth, but on which no yoke has been imposed. And yoke them to the cart, but retain their calves at home. And you shall take the ark of the Lord, and you shall place it upon the cart, with the articles of gold that you have paid to him on behalf of transgression. You shall place these in a little box at its side. And release it, so that it may go. And you shall watch. And if, indeed, it ascends by the way of his own parts, toward Beth-shemesh, then he has done this great evil to us. But if not, then we shall know that it is by no means his hand that has touched us, but instead it happened by chance. Therefore, they did it in this way. And taking 2 cows that were feeding calves, they yoked them to the cart, and they enclosed their calves at home. And they placed the ark of God upon the cart, with the little box that held the gold mice and the likenesses of the cysts. But the cows went directly along the way that leads to Beth-shemesh. And they advanced only in one direction, lowing as they went. And they did not turn aside, neither to the right, nor to the left. Moreover, the princes of the Philistines followed them, as far as the borders of Beth-shemesh. Now the Beth-shemeshites were harvesting wheat in the valley. And lifting up their eyes, they saw the ark, and they were glad when they had seen it. And the cart went into the field of Joshua, a Beth-shemeshite, and it stood still there. Now in that place was a great stone, and so they cut up the wood of the cart, and they placed the cows upon it as a holocaust to the Lord. But the Levites took down the ark of God, and the little box that was at its side, in which were the articles of gold, and they placed them upon the great stone. Then the men of Beth-shemesh offered holocausts and immolated victims, on that day, to the Lord. And the 5 princes of the Philistines saw, and they returned to Ekron on the same day. Now these are the gold cysts, which the Philistines repaid to the Lord for transgression, for Ashdod 1, for Gaza 1, for Ashkelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. And there were gold mice, according to the number of the cities of the Philistines, of the 5 provinces, from the fortified city to the village that was without a wall, and even to the great stone upon which they placed the ark of the Lord, which was, at last in that day, in the field of Joshua, the Beth-shemeshite. Then he struck down some of the men of Beth-shemesh, because they had seen the ark of the Lord. And he struck down some of the people, 70 men, and 50,000 of the common people. And the people lamented, because the Lord had struck the people with a great slaughter. And the men of Beth-shemesh said, Who will be able to stand in the sight of the Lord, this holy God? And who will ascend to him from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kiriath-jearim, saying, The Philistines have returned the ark of the Lord. Descend and lead it back to you. Samuel 7. Then the men of Kiriath-jearim arrived, and they led away the ark of the Lord. And they brought it into the house of Abinadab, in Gibeah. Then they sanctified Eleazar, his son, so that he might care for the ark of the Lord. And it happened that, from that day, the ark of the Lord remained in Kiriath Jearim. And the days were multiplied and all the house of Israel rested, following the Lord. Then Samuel spoke to the entire house of Israel, saying, If you would return to the Lord with your whole heart, take away strange gods from among you, the Baals and Ashtoreth, and prepare your hearts for the Lord, and serve him alone. And he will rescue you from the hand of the Philistines. Therefore, the sons of Israel took away the Baals and Ashtoreth, and they served the Lord alone. And Samuel said, Gather all of Israel at Mizpah, so that I may pray for you to the Lord. And they convened at Mizpah. And they drew water, and they poured it out in the sight of the Lord. And on that day they fasted, and in that place they said, We have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the sons of Israel at Mizpah. And the Philistines heard that the sons of Israel had gathered together at Mizpah. And the princes of the Philistines ascended against Israel. And when the sons of Israel had heard this, they were afraid before the face of the Philistines. And they said to Samuel, May you not cease to cry out to the Lord our God on our behalf, so that he may save us from the hand of the Philistines. Then Samuel took one suckling lamb, and he offered it whole, as a holocaust to the Lord. And Samuel cried out to the Lord on behalf of Israel, and the Lord heeded him. Then it happened that, while Samuel was offering the holocaust, the Philistines began the battle against Israel. But the Lord thundered with a great crash, on that day, over the Philistines, and he terrified them, and they were cut down before the face of Israel. And the men of Israel, departing from Mizpah, pursued the Philistines, and they struck them down as far as the place which was below Bethker. Then Samuel took a single stone, and he placed it between Mizpah and Shen. And he called the name of this place, the stone of assistance. And he said, For in this place the Lord gave assistance to us. And the Philistines were humbled, and they no longer drew near, so that they might enter into the borders of Israel. And so, the hand of the Lord was over the Philistines during all the days of Samuel. And the cities that the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel, from Ekron as far as Gath, with their borders. And he freed Israel from the hand of the Philistines. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went each year, traveling around to Bethel, and to Gilgal, and to Mizpah, and he judged Israel in the above stated places. And he returned to Ramah. For his house was there, and he judged Israel there. And then he built an altar to the Lord there. Samuel 8. And it happened that, when Samuel had become old, he appointed his sons as judges over Israel. Now the name of his firstborn son was Joel, and the name of the second was Abijah, judges at Beersheba. But his sons did not walk in his ways. Instead, they turned aside, pursuing avarice. And they accepted bribes, and they perverted judgment. Therefore, all those greater by birth of Israel, having gathered together, went to Samuel at Ramah. And they said to him, Behold, you are elderly, and your sons do not walk in your ways. Appoint for us a king, so that he may judge us, just as all the nations have. And the word was displeasing in the eyes of Samuel, for they had said, Give us a king to judge us. And Samuel prayed to the Lord. Then the Lord said to Samuel, Listen to the voice of the people in all that they are saying to you. For they have not rejected you, but me, lest I reign over them. In accord with all their works, which they have done from the day when I led them away from Egypt, even to this day, just as they have forsaken me, and served foreign gods, so now they also do to you. Now therefore, hear their voice. Yet truly, testify to them and foretell to them the rights of the king who will reign over them. And so, Samuel told all the words of the Lord to the people, who had petitioned a king from him. And he said, This will be the right of the king who will have authority over you, he will take your sons, and place them in his chariots. And he will make them his horsemen and his runners before his 4-horse chariots. And he will appoint them to be his tribunes and centurions, and the plowmen of his fields, and the harvesters of the grain, and the makers of his weapons and chariots. Likewise, your daughters he will take for himself as makers of ointments, and as cooks and bakers. Also, he will take your fields, and your vineyards, and your best olive groves, and he will give them to his servants. Moreover, he will take 1/10 of your grain and of the results of your vineyards, so that he may give these to his eunuchs and servants. Then, too, he will take your servants, and handmaids, and your best young men, and your donkeys, and he will set them to his work. Also, he will take 1/10 of your flocks. And you will be his servants. And you will cry out, in that day, from the face of the king, whom you have chosen for yourselves. And the Lord will not heed you, in that day. For you requested a king for yourselves. But the people were not willing to listen to the voice of Samuel. Instead, they said, by no means. For there shall be a king over us. And we shall be just like all the Gentiles. And our king will judge us, and he will go out before us, and he will fight our wars for us. And Samuel heard all the words of the people, and he spoke them to the ears of the Lord. Then the Lord said to Samuel, listen to their voice, and appoint a king over them. And Samuel said to the men of Israel, let each one go to his own city. Samuel 9. Now there was a man of Benjamin, whose name was Kish, the son of Abiel, the son of Zerah, the son of Bechorath, the son of Aphiah, the son of a man of Benjamin, strong and robust. And he had a son called Saul, an elect and good man. And there was not a man among the sons of Israel better than he was. For he stood head and shoulders above all the people. Now the donkeys of Kish, the father of Saul, had become lost. And Kish said to his son Saul, take with you one of the servants, and rising up, go out and seek the donkeys. And when they had passed through Mount Ephraim, and through the land of Shalisha, and had not found them, they crossed also through the land of Shalom, and they were not there, and through the land of Benjamin, and they found nothing. And when they had arrived in the land of Zoph, Saul said to the servant who was with him, come, and let us return, otherwise perhaps my father may forget the donkeys, and become anxious over us. And he said to him, behold, there is a man of God in this city, a noble man. All that he says, happens without fail. Now therefore, let us go there. For perhaps he may tell us about our way, because of which we have arrived. And Saul said to his servant, behold, let us go. But what will we bring to the man of God? The bread in our sacks has run out. And we have no small gift that we might give to the man of God, nor anything at all. The servant again responded to Saul, and he said, behold, there is found in my hand a coin of the 4th part of a stater. Let us give it to the man of God, so that he may reveal to us our way. And Saul said to his servant, your word is very good. Come, let us go. And they went into the city, where the man of God was. And as they were ascending the slope to the city, they found some young women going out to draw water. And they said to them, is the seer here? And responding, they said to them, he is. Behold, he is ahead of you. Hurry now. For he came into the city today, since there is a sacrifice for the people today, on the high place. Upon entering the city, you should find him immediately, before he ascends to the high place for the meal. And the people will not eat until he has arrived. For he blesses the victim, and thereafter those who were called will eat. Now therefore, go up. For you will find him today. And they ascended into the city. And as they were walking in the midst of the city, Samuel appeared, advancing to meet them, so that he might ascend to the high place. Now the Lord had revealed to the ear of Samuel, one day before Saul had arrived, saying, tomorrow, at the same hour that it is now, I will send to you a man from the land of Benjamin. And you shall anoint him to be the leader over my people Israel. And he will save my people from the hand of the Philistines. for I have looked with favor upon my people, because their outcry has reached me." And when Samuel had caught sight of Saul, the Lord said to him, "Behold, the man about whom I spoke to you. This one shall rule over my people." Then Saul drew near to Samuel, at the middle of the gate, and he said, "Tell me, I beg you, where is the house of the seer?" And Samuel responded to Saul, saying, "I am the seer. Ascend before me to the high place, so that you may eat with me today. And I will send you away in the morning. And I shall reveal to you everything that is in your heart. And concerning the donkeys, which were lost the day before yesterday, you should not be anxious, for they have been found. And all the best things of Israel, for whom should they be? Will they not be for you and for all your father's house?" And responding, Saul said, "Am I not a son of Benjamin, the least tribe of Israel, and are not my kindred the last among all the families from the tribe of Benjamin? So then, why would you speak this word to me?" And so Samuel, taking Saul and his servant, brought them into the dining room, and he gave them a place at the head of those who had been invited. For there were about 30 men. And Samuel said to the cook, "Present the portion that I gave to you, and which I instructed you to set apart beside you." Then the cook lifted up the shoulder, and he placed it before Saul. And Samuel said, "Behold, what remains, set it before you and eat. For it was preserved for you intentionally, when I called the people." And Saul ate with Samuel on that day. And they descended from the high place into the town, and he spoke with Saul in the upper room. And he set out a bed for Saul in the upper room, and he slept. And when they had risen in the morning, and it now began to be light, Samuel called to Saul in the upper room, saying, "Rise up, so that I may send you on." And Saul rose up. And they both departed, that is to say, he and Samuel. And as they were descending to the very limit of the city, Samuel said to Saul, "Tell the servant to go ahead of us, and to continue on. But as for you, stay here a little while, so that I may reveal the word of the Lord to you." Samuel 10. Then Samuel took a little vial of oil, and poured it on his head. And he kissed him, and said, "Behold, the Lord has anointed you as first ruler over his inheritance. And you shall free his people from the hands of their enemies, who are all around them. And this shall be a sign for you that God has anointed you as ruler. When you will have departed from me this day, you will find 2 men beside the sepulchre of Rachel, in the parts of Benjamin to the south. And they will say to you, The donkeys have been found, which you had been seeking as you traveled. And your father, forgetting about the donkeys, has been anxious for you, and he says, What shall I do about my son? And when you will have departed from there, and will have traveled farther, and will have arrived at the oak of Tabor, in that place 3 men, who are going up to God at Bethel, will find you. One will be bringing 3 young goats, and another 3 loaves of bread, and another will be carrying a bottle of wine. And when they will have greeted you, they will give you 2 loaves. And you shall accept these from their hand. After these things, you shall arrive at the hill of God, where the garrison of the Philistines is. And when you will have entered the city there, you will meet a company of prophets, descending from the high place, with a psaltery, and a timbrel, and a pipe, and a harp before them, and they will be prophesying. And the Spirit of the Lord will spring up within you. And you shall prophesy with them, and you shall be changed into another man. Therefore, when these signs will have happened to you, do whatever your hand will find, for the Lord is with you. And you shall descend before me into Gilgal, so that you may offer an oblation, and may immolate victims of peace. For 7 days, you shall wait, until I come to you, and reveal to you what you should do. And so, when he had turned his shoulder, so that he might go away from Samuel, God changed him to another heart. And all these signs occurred on that day. And they arrived at the above-stated hill, and behold, a group of prophets met him. And the Spirit of the Lord leapt up within him, and he prophesied in their midst. Then all those who had known him yesterday and the day before, seeing that he was with the prophets, and that he was prophesying, said to one another, "What is this thing that has happened to the son of Kish? Could Saul also be among the prophets?" And one would respond to the other, saying, "And who is their father?" Because of this, it turned into a proverb, "Could Saul also be among the prophets?" Then he ceased to prophesy, and he went to the high place. And the uncle of Saul said to him, and to his servant, "Where did you go?" And they responded, "To seek the donkeys. But when we did not find them, we went to Samuel." And his uncle said to him, "Tell me what Samuel said to you." And Saul said to his uncle, "He told us that the donkeys would be found. But the word about the kingdom, which Samuel had spoken to him, he did not reveal to him." And Samuel called the people together, to the Lord at Mizpah. And he said to the sons of Israel, "Thus says the Lord God of Israel, I led Israel away from Egypt, and I rescued you from the hand of the Egyptians, and from the hand of all the kings who were afflicting you. But today you have rejected your God, who alone saved you from all your evils and tribulations. And you have said, by no means. Instead, appoint a king over us. Now therefore, stand in the side of the Lord, by your tribes and by your families." And Samuel brought near all the tribes of Israel, and the lot fell upon the tribe of Benjamin. And he brought near the tribe of Benjamin, with its families, and the lot fell upon the family of Matri. And then it went to Saul, the son of Kish. Therefore, they sought him, but he was not found. And after these things, they consulted the Lord as to whether he would soon arrive there. And the Lord responded, "Behold, he is hidden at home." And so they ran and brought him there. And he stood in the midst of the people, and he was taller than the entire people, from the shoulders upward. And Samuel said to all the people, "Certainly, you see the one whom the Lord has chosen, that there is not anyone like him among all the people." And all the people cried out and said, "Long live the king." Then Samuel spoke to the people the law of the kingdom, and he wrote it in a book, and he stored it in the sight of the Lord. And Samuel dismissed all the people, each one to his own house. And then Saul went away to his own house in Gibeah. And a portion of the army, whose hearts had been touched by God, went away with him. Yet the sons of Belial said, "How could this one be able to save us?" And they despised him, and they brought him no presents. But he pretended not to hear them. Thank you for watching. If you like the content on this channel, please press subscribe, the like button or comment below. We'd love to get your tips. See you next time.